Why would you allow your wife to be put in that position? I would never put my wife in that position, not for social media, not for money, not for anything.
Has really plateaued and sort of reached their peak. I think a lot of influencers in the US are actually on a journey of self-discovery.
Let's be real. Candace Owens' husband filing for divorce didn't shock most folks at all. It came right after she unleashed a wave of intense posts online, claiming that the French government, Israeli operatives, and even certain U.S. agencies were allegedly plotting to kill her. She didn't hold back either. She dropped names, posted screenshots, and insisted she had enough receipts to blow the lid off entire governments if anything ever happened to her. But that was just a warm-up. Before the divorce news even started circulating, Candace claims someone high-ranking inside the French government reached out to warn her. According to her, this insider told her that Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron had supposedly hired a team to assassinate her, using members of GIGN, France's elite counterterrorism force. She says this contact revealed their own identity, showed her documents, and even claimed an Israeli operative was part of the team tracking her. Then Candace amped things up by alleging that the people who supposedly killed Charlie Kirk had trained with France's 13th Legion, hinting that the whole situation is tied to some bigger international operation. Then the story took an even stranger turn. A whistleblower allegedly emailed her leaked intel, which she read out loud. The message claimed the FBI, Secret Service, and DEA were aware of a plot connected to Charlie Kirk's death. According to Candace, Charlie stumbled onto something dangerous, and that discovery might have been what got him killed.
Now, that checks out. Yeah, Secret Service, the FBI, the DEA being involved, why this plane found something out, and it cost him his life.
Before we go any further, this is exactly where the divorce starts, tying the whole situation together. George Farmer's timing looks way too questionable to ignore. Instead of standing by his wife during one of the most chaotic and high-pressure moments of her public life, he's allegedly pulling back, filing divorce papers, and letting conservative outlets quietly slip out the confirmation. When you remember how their relationship kicked off, the lightning-fast engagement, the weird power imbalance, and all those uncomfortable moments, none of this really feels shocking. And don't forget the clip where Candace claimed Charlie Kirk warned her not to marry George because certain donors supposedly thought her image would suffer if she didn't marry a black man from the projects.
One of the donors to Turning Point USA was telling him it would be very bad for my brand. And that really stuck with me. That one of the donors said, it would be very bad for your brand for you to not marry a black guy from the projects or something like that.
Right.
That old clip hits on a whole different level now. But honestly, the divorce isn't even the biggest storm she's facing right now. While all of this is blowing up, Candace is catching heat from every direction within her own political circle. At a Turning Point USA event, Pastor John Amanchakwu straight up labeled her evil and demonic, even telling George Farmer right there in front of everybody that he needed to shut down whatever she had going on.
Erica Kirk, his wife, you have to be cruel and demonic to insinuate the things that she has insinuated over the past several weeks. She's evil. At some point, her husband is gonna have to walk into that podcast room and start unplugging cords. By now, I would have already done it if it was my wife.
People who were inside that event said the whole atmosphere had nothing to do with Christ or faith. Instead, they said it felt like raw, targeted anger directly directed at Candace Owens. And the harder people tried to tear her down, the bigger the spotlight grew, with even her own supporters posting things like, "Pray for Candace Owens." Candace insists the French and Israeli governments are trying to silence her. Meanwhile, mainstream outlets stayed completely quiet, which only made everything feel even more suspicious. At first, the claims sounded impossible, but then more supposed leaks started dropping. Right after Candace went public about the Macron accusations, Project Veritas released alleged messages from Mary Berry, daughter of General William Barr, discussing a plan to blackmail Candace and wreck her image. One message allegedly read, "We need to blackmail her fast." Another supposedly said, "Destroy her reputation before she reaches us." Mary's team says the messages are fabricated, but nobody named in those leaks has filed a lawsuit against Project Veritas, which raises even more eyebrows. And while the internet was still trying to process that, Candace kicked up another firestorm by saying, if anything happens to me, blame the Zionists 1,000%. When you zoom out, the whole picture gets overwhelming fast. A whistleblower claiming U.S. agents were involved says France approved an assassination attempt. She's hinting at Israeli involvement, leaked threats, a pastor calling her demonic, and now her husband dipping out. This doesn't read like regular drama anymore. It looks like pressure is closing in on her from every possible angle. What stunned people even more was Candace suddenly bringing up Kanye West. She says he handed her an entire file of messages and warnings to release if anything ever happens to him.
That information, as Kanye sent me all of the messages, people who were threatening him, I have them all, to information share with Max Blumenthal, with people, people all over the.
When someone like Kanye, a man who openly believes the entire industry is stacked against him, trusts you to hold his so-called insurance files, it shows just how wild the world around Candace has become. And before anyone could even connect all the pieces, she reignited her feud with Brigitte Macron right as the lawsuit dropped, after the French First Lady sued her. Candace clapped back by publicly claiming in her response, "You were born a man and you will die a man. I'll see you in court."
Born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood. Figure it out real quick. I will see you in court.
Imagine the chain of events Candace keeps pointing to. First, she accuses Brigitte Macron of being transgender. Brigitte responds by suing her. Instead of backing down, Candace doubles down even harder. Then a supposed French insider pops up, claiming the Macrons approved a plot against her life. Right after that, her husband reportedly filed for divorce. A well-known pastor publicly labels her demonic. A leak tied to people with alleged DOJ connections hits the internet, saying someone wants to wipe out her career. She then claims Israeli groups want her gone. After that, she brings up Charlie Kirk's death and hints that it wasn't natural or random. This doesn't feel like your usual political back and forth. It comes off way too coordinated to brush aside. And we still haven't reached the most explosive part of that whistleblower's message. Candace keeps implying that Charlie Kirk didn't just pass away. She suggests he was silenced. If you really listen to her interviews and posts, she keeps circling back to the same group of people she says are targeting her now. She won't spell it all out directly, but she's implying that Charlie uncovered something dangerous and that it ties into the threats she claims she's facing today. That leads to the question nobody wants to say out loud. Did her marriage collapse because George finally realized what she was wrapped up in, or did he already know far more than he ever admitted? Before diving into the political fallout, it's important to understand why this divorce hits differently and why the timing feels deliberate. This isn't just any couple quietly parting ways. George Farmer is the son of a British baron, raised in elite conservative circles, and plugged into the same political machine Candace operates in. Their relationship always had a strange, almost strategic energy to it. They got engaged just 17 days after meeting, and George once said she had a kind of power he couldn't explain. That old clip resurfaced, and now everyone is rewatching it with a completely new lens. Everything happening around Candace feels less like a coincidence and more like a storm tightening around her from every direction.
We shook hands, and I just knew, kind of, when I met her, I was like, this is a woman who, she just commanded a power. Nothing romantic was said, you know, between that day and the day that we got engaged, nothing romantic was said at all. You know, there was no.
George once admitted they never really went on actual dates or built what most people would call a normal romantic bond. A lot of folks online claim he treated her more like an assignment than a spouse, which is why some fans started calling their whole relationship recruitment energy. The way he talked about her made it feel less like a love story and more like a political setup. and connections built on that kind of foundation rarely survive this level of chaos. So when reports surfaced that he filed for divorce, people immediately started stitching the pieces together. Because if George truly believed Candace was in danger or spiraling, wouldn't he stay by her side? Instead, he's pulling back, going distant, and letting the conservative world quietly peel away from her. To many people, that signals the issue isn't just the claims she's making, it's the level of heat those claims are dragging in. Ever since Candace began alleging that entire governments and intelligence networks were after her, major conservative donors have reportedly been freaking out. These are not lightweight accusations. She's pointing toward people with massive global influence. And George, who grew up navigating elite political circles, understands very well which lines can't be crossed. And Candace, according to her critics, has blasted right through them.
Judaism is a faith. Israel is a state. It is not above critique. And that what Bibi Netanyahu has done to the Palestinians since October 7th is a Holocaust.
This whole situation shows just how fast conservative influences can flip on one of their own. In that space, certain subjects are basically landmines, and one wrong comment has people who once praised you suddenly acting like you're a liability. That's exactly what played out with her. The moment that clip started circulating, major voices rushed to label her anti-Israel, reckless, and even dangerous. Those aren't light critiques. They're the kind of labels people throw out when they're ready to push someone out of the circle. Things exploded even further when she claimed that if anything happened to her, Zionists would be responsible. Criticism of Israel isn't uncommon. People debate it every day. But tying it to a threat on her life crossed a political boundary instantly. From that point on, she wasn't treated like a commentator. She was treated like someone unpredictable, someone who might expose things others want buried. And once she said that out loud, her connections in that world began unraveling almost immediately. But what really sent this whole story into dangerous territory was how she connected it all to Charlie Kirk's death. She wasn't talking about general danger anymore. She was linking deaths, governments, and intel networks into the same timeline. To her, Charlie wasn't just a coworker. She spoke about him like he was family. So when she read that whistleblower message, she sounded truly rattled. That's when people realized she might be dealing with information far larger than anyone expected. Now the internet is asking the same question. Is she exposing something real, or has she stepped into a situation way bigger than she can manage?